a personality shaped by being an athlete and a background in mainstream sports media, I found that the stories I was most interested in telling were the ones often overlooked, the ones that might not otherwise be told, the ones that show the intangible and not just the highlight reel. The Sports Council is about highlighting the great, the good, the unique, and everything in between in the Pacific Northwest sports world. I'm Jamie Council. Thanks for joining me.
You're listening to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, the Tri-Cities leader in sports.
Welcome to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports. I'm Jamie Council, and we're talking Dust Devils halfway to the season, and it's the show of the Dougs. First joined by Doug Taylor, the voice of the Dust Devils. Welcome.
Thank you, Jamie. Good to be on the Sports Council. I've listened in. I would say I am a listener, so it's nice to be a part of things now, I guess.
How did you get to be the voice of the Dust Devils? Like I said, people know your voice, but they don't necessarily know your story. So how did you get into it, and how did you come to be the voice of the Dust Devils?
It was a bit of a circuitous route. When I was a kid, I wanted to get into sports broadcasting. I decided to pursue something else, full-time ministry it was. So I went down that track for a while and continued that and still help out when I can in some places, but ended up making a change after coming back from my, first place of service. And I went back to school. I got a broadcast degree at Washington State at the Murrow College. And while I was around there, I had a friend of mine who I was at Wazoo with, whom you followed at KNDU, Austin Getz. And Getz was here in this press box, no joke, talking with Chris King, who was the voice of the Dust Devils at the time. And he said, "We need a new voice of Idaho women's basketball." The person left. "Do you know anybody around the Palouse who'd be interested?" And Austin goes, "I know just the guy." So that was me. I'll be doing year 8 of that this coming fall and winter. And so that connected me to Chris. Chris needed to step away. He has a young family now, and he was just in the midst of starting that in the very early part of the 2022 season, or his son was soon to be born. And so they needed somebody to fill in, and I had filled in for a couple of games in 2021 while he was away with football. And, that got me a foot in the door to get a shot to be the interim voice of the Dust Devils for 2022. And then I've managed to stick around, and this is season 4. So that's how I got to where I am.
And it's also season 4 for Doug Henry. We'll be talking to him later in the show. So a lot has changed over there, but stayed the same voice and a lot of familiar names you brought up. What do you like most about getting to cover the Dust Devils, being there for all the action, not just at Giesa Stadium, but also on the road?
Well, I do like the travel of the road. I think it's fun to go and visit the various spots of the Northwest League. I also just in general, though, I enjoy telling the story of the Dust Devils season. It's kind of like a really long book with 132 chapters. And so, each night you get one little, you get a chapter for this long book or a piece of the puzzle of what ends up being a season. And you never know what you're going to see over a season or even on one night when it comes to any game. You could see a perfect game. You could see your team lose 20-0. You could see most often something in between there. But there are so many things. And I'm not saying in other sports these sorts of things don't happen too, but it seems like baseball has this ability to bring you something you've never seen before, or to go and check the rule book. I'm like, I've watched baseball. I don't know how many years, my entire life I can think of it. And I don't quite know what the ruling is on this or how we got there. Just those sort of kind of mysterious historical facets and things. And so those are the things that I enjoy. And also getting to interact with people, whether it's on the concourse before the game or to the camera woman to my right to make sure we get footage of whatever's going on. Like we were in Everett last week, Jamie, we had a drone delay. And so it's like last year you were here when we had a drone delay.
We had a drone delay at
Ryan. So when I thought of that when we were in Everett, I'm like, well, Jamie would enjoy this because we have another drone holding up our game here for a few minutes time. So you never know what you're going to see at the ballpark. and you never know who you're going to meet. And so it's a lot of fun just to have all of those opportunities. And I enjoy that. I kind of thrive on meeting new people and talking to them and learning their story and why it is they've gotten into what they're doing.
So it's a book 4 of the series, chapter, whatever it is, in half, seeing as we're halfway through the season. So what has been the theme of this season for the Dust Devils?
I think the theme has been, if you take out, I guess, the last week and a half, which is obviously still part of the story, but this team has been kind of plucky in that they almost always make you work for 27 outs. You could be down, or they could be down 10-3. And then in the 9th inning, they'll grab 3 or 4 runs. They'll make it interesting. And for most of the season, it was right at 500, 49 games through. We were 25-24. We were in second place, a game and a half out of first. And we were in good position. And then really nobody else was separating from the other. We had a point, Jamie, where we had the entire league. You had a team in the lead, and the team in last place was 2 games out of first, which is just almost impossible math-wise. So it became kind of a game of who would make the big run at the end of the season, or the half, I should say, because obviously we're going to do a whole nother 66 games coming up beginning on Friday. But Vancouver and Everett made the runs. Unfortunately, it was at the expense of Tri-City a little bit on both sides. So we're gearing up for the second half now. But it's a young team. It's a talented team. And they really are the best example, I think, in the Northwest League. If you just don't know what you're going to see on any night, you could see scintillating baseball, top level, and then you could see a game where things kind of get away from them, and you kind of wonder, have these guys ever played this game before? But really, that's the sport. That's baseball across the board. You can see any team, even the best team in the league, do that. So there's a lot of room for growth, and there's also been, I think, a lot of fun at the ballpark with our fences in this year, playing shorter. We have a lot more home runs than you saw last year, for sure. So we've had a lot of fun here in this first half. We've had a rough stretch coming into the end of it, but we get to start anew on Friday. So looking forward to that.
So starting the second half of the season tomorrow, and we're going to get a little more in-depth on the Dust Devils. But first, we're going to hear from our sponsors. You're listening to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports.
Light up your 4th of July with Krispy Kreme. Celebrate freedom the sweetest way with our patriotic dozen. Perfect for family barbecues, backyard bashes, or sharing with friends. And hey, add a dozen original glazed for just $9.99. Planning a summer fundraiser? We've got you covered. Support your church, sports team, or nonprofit with a Krispy Kreme fundraiser. And to our heroes, veterans, active military, and first responders, you always get 10% off. That's your local Krispy Kreme, 2805 Dupertail in Richland. Come in with a sweet tooth, leave with a smile.
For decades, some dealers have played the same game, adding pointless accessories, raising prices, marking things up with market shifts. In 2020, it was chip shortages. Now, pricing uncertainty. But McCurley Chevrolet didn't raise prices then, and we won't now. We've always priced vehicles the right way for our community. Fair, transparent, and pressure-free. Skip the games. This is the way buying should feel. McCurley Chevrolet, your way home.
Inconveniences can happen at, inconvenient times. JRT Mechanical has plumbers and HVAC technicians available 24/7 if an emergency does arise. Or if you feel like your house isn't cooling like it used to, or if you're tired of a hose leaking from last winter's freeze, JRT is an honest, reliable company that's been in the Pacific Northwest for more than 3 decades. Give JRT Mechanical a call at 509-314-4314 or visit jrtmechanical.com.
If you've got a winery, brewery, or dairy, why buy industrial parts and supplies from across the country? Central Industrial Sales is your local source for supplies and equipment for the dairy, food processing, winery, and brewing industries. We specialize in custom fabrication, industrial cleaning equipment, sanitary fittings, valves, pumps, chemicals, and many other supplies. Everything's available through our website, by phone, or by dropping by our office. Call 509-375-4032 or find us at centralindustrialsales.com.
You're listening to Jamie Council on the Sports Council.
We're back on the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports, talking Dust Devils, and joined by the voice of Tri-Cities, Doug Taylor, and starting the second half of the season. And you mentioned it for a while, the Dust Devils sitting right about 500 and took a little bit of a dip lately last week, losing the series 5-1 against Everett. What's been the reason for the dip, or is it just it's bound to happen because, you know what, it is a long season?
It is a very long season. Even when you split it into halves, like, when we start new tomorrow, we've been going since April 4th. There have been, count off the days off, like 10 or something, 10 or 11. It hasn't been that many. Otherwise, we've just been going and going. The baseball season is both a sprint and a marathon. I think in the Dust Devils case here in the last couple of weeks or so, as they finish up the first half tonight and then get into the second half tomorrow, they kind of ran out of gas. Offensively, the team, they have the fewest runs scored in the Northwest League for the longest time, though they also had the fewest runs given up. So they were playing a lot of close games, and they were doing pretty well in those close games. And just in these last couple of weeks, that mean has kind of regressed, where they've had some one-run games get away from them where they had the lead and they were unable to hold it, just at kind of an unfortunate time. So I think that's been part of it. And the more you pile those up, it's kind of in reverse of, like, when you're on a hot streak, you're winning all those games. And when you're on a cool streak, you're finding a way to lose most of those games. That's kind of where the Dust Devils have been at finishing the year. I'm thinking of it as a year, but it's really not. It's almost the length of the old season in the short season days, but it's a half. So again, we're finishing that tonight and getting started again tomorrow. So it does seem like a bigger chapter or a volume of this thing is closing. And for the Dust Devils, it has just been not being able to finish games, not being able to get the big hit when they've needed to of late.
Absolutely. So we know that the second half of the season, some highlights will come there, but what have been the highlights of the first half of the season that's happened for the Dust Devils?
I think opening night was a highlight, just seeing the new park, having folks out on April 4th and winning that ball game. That was a one-run game that we were able to take 5-4 to start the year. And so that kind of got us on the front foot. Lost the next two to Vancouver, but then we got into this cycle where we were splitting series. Almost every series, we would win 3, we'd lose 3. And sometimes we'd be down 3-1 in the series. We'd win the last 2 to get that split. Or we'd have a chance to win the series and we couldn't quite pull it out. We did have a winning series against Everett in April, so our first full home series here. So we got off to a good start, and we just kind of kept going. Even in Everett in the series, the one game that we won, we said single highs in runs and hits, 11 runs and 14 hits. Adol Oliveira's grand slam was a big highlight. That was a game against Eugene where it was a 3-3 game coming into the 8th. We scored 7 runs, and Adol on his bat had 4 of them there. So that was a big highlight too, seeing our 2 young starters in the rotation, Austin Gordon and Chris Cortez, both get their first professional wins. They got them in the same series in Hillsborough. So that was a neat thing to see, because obviously, you dream as a starting pitcher of going and winning a game, getting paid by somebody for you to pitch and to win a game. And for those guys to get that opportunity and to do it was a lot of fun. Yeah, just those milestones of, like, Peter Burns, backup catcher, doesn't have a ton of playing time. Him hitting his first professional home run in Eugene in April. Those are the sorts of things as a player you dream of. And so to see those guys get to live out that dream, I think those are the main highlights. But we played a lot of fun, entertaining baseball. Sometimes we've been on the short end. Sometimes we've been able to get the win. And we wrap up this half looking forward to, getting things started again and trying to get to the Northwest League Championship Series and win the first Dust Devils Northwest League title. That still is available to us. And then the opportunity restarts tomorrow.
Absolutely. And speaking of highlights, you have to add in Bark at the Park.
Oh, yes. I'm told that you may have been at Bark at the Park. I
would have come said hi, but there was a dog section and a not dog section, and Dakota's great, but yeah, he got to go to a Dust Devils game finally. He's been to a Mariners game, and now he's also been to a Dust Devils game, going to Bark at the Park.
well, that seems right and proper. Yes, understood. The dogs cannot. It's not that we disallow dogs in the press box. It's just that there's not a lot for them here. They could watch the game, but I don't even think we have a water bowl or any food or treats. So anyway, Bark at the Park is fun every year to have all the good doggos here at Gisa. It was a tradition that happened for a while. Then it had gone away for a bit, and now it's made its way back. I think we've had it a couple of years in a row now, and I think it's a lot of fun for folks to bring their dogs to the park and for everybody to enjoy a ball game.
And then there was a cat walking on the field before, so you never know what you're going to get at a baseball game. And you were mentioning some of the high points for a lot of these players. They dream about being a professional baseball player. Here they are. They're hitting these milestones for the very first time, milestones that they're going to remember for the rest of their lives, high points of their individual lives, not just for the Dust Devils season. What does it mean to you to be able to paint the picture, to be the voice of that moment?
It's not only a great privilege, but it is a responsibility. You kind of feel it in that moment that, I obviously want to get every call right, or I want it to be the absolute best it can be. At the same time, I understand that I'm a fallible human being and not every call is going to go the way I want it to. But certainly in those moments, you don't want to overdo it. Like, I don't rehearse it at all. I want, my reporting of the game, my broadcasting of the game needs to be as natural as the moment that happened on the field. But I want to make sure that I say everything correctly. I hit all the marks so that if they have that video, they're showing that to their grandkids 40, 50 years from now, that they hear that. And, they're like, yeah, that was a lot of fun. And it was a lot of fun to hear that. So it's important to me to get those sorts of things right, as it is important to get all of the moments right, while knowing I can't get all of them right, if that makes sense.
Tell good lies, as they say.
Yeah.
Well, you
tell good truths as well.
Yeah, that's the second part that nobody tells you. Yeah. Well, Doug Taylor, you do a wonderful job. I've enjoyed covering your journey, and it's always a great time when I get to see your work. So love what you do. Keep it up. And thank you so much for your time of being on the Sports Council.
Jamie, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed it.
Again, Doug Taylor, voice of the Dust Devils. It's the show of Doug's. When we come back, we'll catch up with Doug Henry, the pitching coach for the Tri-City Dust Devils. You're listening to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports.
Inconveniences can happen at, inconvenient times. JRT Mechanical has plumbers and HVAC technicians available 24/7 if an emergency does arise. Or if you feel like your house isn't cooling like it used to, or if you're tired of a hose leaking from last winter's freeze, JRT is an honest, reliable company that's been in the Pacific Northwest for more than 3 decades. Give JRT Mechanical a call at 509-314-4314 or visit jrtmechanical.com.
If you've got a winery, brewery, or dairy, why buy industrial parts and supplies from across the country? Central Industrial Sales is your local source for supplies and equipment for the dairy, food processing, winery, and brewing industries. We specialize in custom fabrication, industrial cleaning equipment, sanitary fittings, valves, pumps, chemicals, and many other supplies. Everything's available through our website, by phone, or by dropping by our office. Call 509-375-4032 or find us at centralindustrialsales.com.
Light up your 4th of July with Krispy Kreme. Celebrate freedom the sweetest way with our patriotic dozen. Perfect for family barbecues, backyard bashes, or sharing with friends. And hey, add a dozen original glazed for just $9.99. Planning a summer fundraiser? We've got you covered. Support your church, sports team, or nonprofit with a Krispy Kreme fundraiser. And to our heroes, veterans, active military, and first responders, you always get 10% off. That's your local Krispy Kreme, 2805 Dupertail in Richland. Come in with a sweet tooth, leave with a smile.
For decades, some dealers have played the same game, adding pointless accessories, raising prices, marking things up with market shifts. In 2020, it was chip shortages. Now, pricing uncertainty. But McCurley Chevrolet didn't raise prices then, and we won't now. We've always priced vehicles the right way for our community. Fair, transparent, and pressure-free. Skip the games. This is the way buying should feel. McCurley Chevrolet, your way home.
Listening to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, the Tri-Cities leader in sports.
Welcome back to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports. Well, talking Dust Devils, and now we're joined by pitching coach for the Tri-City Dust Devils, Doug Henry. We're having Doug's on all this show. Welcome.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
And how long have you been in the Tri-Cities for now?
Let's see. This is year 4. I was here 21 to 23. And then last year I was in Huntsville with the AA team. And then just a series of events. They asked me to come back here and do it again this year. And I like it here. It's a fun place to be. So I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, tell me about your experience. What do you like about the Tri-Cities? I mean, you've traveled a lot. You've been on teams in the major leagues and now also multiple teams in the minor leagues. It just kind of comes with the territory. But what do you like about the Tri-Cities?
It's just a nice, peaceful place. I actually have family here, so it's nice to see family. I got a cousin that lives up in Wenatchee. My godfather actually lives in Findlay. So I got family here. It's real peaceful. Golf's great. I like the golf, and we get out pretty much at least once a week with the staff here. And it's just the people here are nice, and it's just a good place to be.
Yeah, we had Dan on last month, and he's a big golfer. Who's the best golfer of the Dust Devils coaching staff?
Well, since we went out and played when we play on Monday, we had an off day, and I have to say I kicked Dan's tail the other day. So it's right now it's me.
You know what? You want to win on the diamond and you want to win on the green too.
There's no doubt about that one. Every day I can, kick anybody's tail at anything. It's a good day.
So 4 years with the Dust Devils, and tell me a little bit about your what got you into baseball. I know that you played with the Brewers, you played with the Royals, but what is your baseball journey been?
I've been playing my whole life. I got drafted in '85 out of Arizona State, and I've basically been in the game since 1985. It's been a long journey. It's been fun. The coaching career, it's always fun to help the kids out and let them see their dreams, of possibly getting to the big leagues. For me, that's the excitement of this job is when I get that phone call from the kids that make it to the big leagues and they just say thanks for, helping them out. And that's kind of what the journey's been about as far as this side of the game goes. The other side of the game, as far as playing goes, it's just a fun thing. I've always enjoyed the game, and I wish I could still play, but my knees and my arm don't let me anymore.
Yeah, that's why you have to stick to the golf course for now.
That's exactly it. That is it right there.
So in the game of baseball, a lot of times you have multiple positions. I mean, obviously, once you get into the major leagues, you're a pitcher. But what was that like? Where did you find your home on the mound?
Early. I always liked playing. I could hit when I was younger. I actually DH'd when I was in college. And then my sophomore year, I had back spasms and I couldn't swing. So that's kind of when the bat went away. But up to that point, I mean, I hate just being a pitcher only. I want to play the game. I just enjoy being out there playing the game. But it's probably about my junior year in college is when I was officially done hitting.
We talk a lot about the journey and about, baseball, what you put into it, and you're constantly moving around, taking a look at even your major leagues. Started with the Brewers 91 to 94, Mets 95, 96, then to the Giants, Houston, back to San Francisco, and then ending your career in Kansas City. What's that like? What keeps you on the road just to be involved at the highest level in the game you love?
That's just part of the game. I mean, in all honesty, when I moved away from home in 1982, I went to Arizona State. My dad never liked to travel. And when I left to go to school, all of a sudden I was traveling all the time. And I actually, if I'm home for a month at a time, I need to talk to the wife and say, hey, we need to go somewhere, or I need to go up and go hunting, or I need to get out of here for a little bit. I have trouble sitting still any length of time now. It's going to be interesting when it's time to retire, if I'm going to be able to sit at home or not. Because I like to travel. People look at it and go, it's kind of glamorous. You get to travel around, see all these cities, but really, even when I was playing, you don't really get to see the cities because you're working all the time. You got to be at the field pretty much from 2:00 until the game's over to, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And it's just a matter of you really have to enjoy the game itself. And that's kind of where I'm at in my life.
And I think you might have already answered this question earlier, but what is the most rewarding part of what you do?
It's the most rewarding part of this is when the kids, make it to the big leagues, watching kids get better. Here we are in A-ball, and these guys have a long way to go, most of them. And it's just a matter of, one, do they buy into what we're trying to teach them? And two, do they have the drive to get there? And then when they do get there, it's so rewarding when I get that phone call from them saying, hey, thanks for everything you helped me with. And that's why I do this.
And how would you describe your coaching style?
I'm very laid back. There's a lot of guys that get out there and just kind of yell and scream. And me, I'm one that sits back, and I like to watch the kids learn by themselves. So I tell them straight up, boys, you got to learn how to take care of yourself, because I can't be on the mound telling you pitch to pitch. It's the one thing I hate about youth sports right now. Everybody's got their personal coach that's telling them how to do something, and in baseball, pitching coaches, they sit over them every pitch in a factory somewhere, telling them what to do pitch to pitch. And it really doesn't do the kid any good, because when he gets out there, he's got to compete against somebody, and there's nobody there telling him what to do. He's got to figure out how to do it himself. And that's kind of how my style is. I sit back and I let them fail. I let kids fail, because this game's about how you deal with failure. And so I'll let them fail for a little bit, and then I'll explain things to them. And if they don't want to buy into it, I'll let them fail some more until they come to me. And it's worked out pretty good for me. Like I said, I've been on this side of the game now for 20 years, and somehow they keep bringing me back. So I must be doing something right.
Right. You're just getting lucky, right?
That might be it too.
So tell me a little bit about the pitchers you have in the bullpen now for the Tri-City Dust Devils.
Well, the starting guys is where our talent really is. I mean, we've got Ryan Johnson, who started the year. He never pitched in professional baseball at all, and made the team coming out of spring training, made the big league team coming out of spring training. And he got up there and got humbled a little bit. And then they sent him back to us all the way down to A-ball so that he could start. They wanted to turn him into a starter. He was relieving up in the big leagues, and now he's down here getting his arm strength built up. And he and I are building it's a fun relationship, because the kid he's an impressive athlete. He's going to be a good one. But there's a process that goes on in the minor leagues where they have to learn. They got to fail, and they got to learn how to bounce back. And that's where he's at right now. Chris Cortez, big arm. This kid's going to be real good. He's another first year guy out of college last year. He's a stud. He's going to be a good one. Austin Gordon, another good one. I mean, we've got 3 quality starters on this staff. And these guys, in my opinion, they're all going to be big leaguers. Keith O'Key, this kid's got a big arm. He's just got to learn he's got to grow up. He knows it. We know it. It's just a matter of him keeping his emotions in check when he's out there on the mound. But if you come out and watch us at all, you see this kid pitch. He is fun to watch. He is real fun to watch. Bullpen, it's kind of an older staff. Actually, we just lost 2 guys. We sent them to Double-A. So we got some new guys coming in. So it's going to be the bullpen. The second half of the season is going to be a different batch, and we'll see how that one works out, how it all plays out. But there's really no standouts. Everybody's getting the ball, and everybody's getting an opportunity to pitch. And it's they're just it's a fun bunch of guys. I'm having more fun this year than I've had in a long time with the staff I've got. So if you come out, root them on. They're fun to watch.
Having a young team, what's going to be important for the Dust Devils that you guys are talking about among all the coaches for the second half of the season?
Well, on our side, the pitching side, we just have to stay aggressive. We can't give up a lot of walks. We can't give up free bases. That's our big thing when I'm talking to the kids, because we have a very good defensive team. We just don't score a lot of runs. So we're going to be in. If we don't walk people and put free runners on base, we have a chance to be in the game. And that's all you can ask for. And when we don't score a lot of runs, we're going to have to do our job and not let free runs come in. So that's our goal as far as the pitching staff goes, is just keep us in the game and give us a chance to do it at the end of the game.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and good luck tonight.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Again, that is Doug Henry, pitching coach for the Dust Devils. Dust Devils at home. The Hillsboro Hops in town. First pitch tonight at 7:05. Games also tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. First pitches for all those games at 7:05. Go Dust Devils. Well, that wrap up this week's show of the Sports Council. Thank you for joining me on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports. A reminder, the Sports Council happens 4 times a month, 11:30 a.m. on Thursdays. But you can listen to this show not just over the airwaves at 11:30 on Thursdays, but also on demand at 1340ESPNradio.com via podcast. Wherever you get your podcasts, just search for the Sports Council. And it's also available via YouTube. So lots of ways to listen to the Sports Council and support our local sports community. Until next time, I'm Jamie Council. Now we go back to your originally scheduled Seattle sports programming.